Namaskar. Today I would like to talk about the war against Palestine by Israel, which has now gone on for more than a year. The official figure of the casualties is about 45,000 people, and the unofficial figure is about 2 lakh people. And if you see, the entire population of Gaza is about 22-23 lakhs. So about 10% of the population has been eliminated, and 70% of this population is women and children. The 45,000 figure, official figure, has about 18,000 children. So this is astonishing. If it had been any other country, which did not have the support of United States and the European nations, they would have been held guilty of war crimes. Even though South Africa has taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, and a warrant has been issued against the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but he continues to attack not only Gaza now, but also the West Bank and Syria and Lebanon and even Iran and Yemen. So this is amazing that a nation is at war with so many countries and is destroying population and property, and there is no restraint. The United Nations has passed several resolutions against Israel, but any resolution in the Security Council is vetoed by United States, and that is probably one of the reasons why Kamala Harris lost the US election. The way Joe Biden government was supporting Israel, not just by providing money but also arms, and recently they have also sent their military personnel there. So this was not taken very kindly by the US population, and they defeated Democratic Party in the elections. We can't hope for any better than from Trump, because last time he went to Israel, he declared Jerusalem as the capital, which was a controversial decision, because Jerusalem, according to the UN resolution of 47, itself is divided between the Jew and the Palestinian population. So we don't expect any miracles from Trump. The best he can do is to stop the war, but the human rights violations that are going on, some countries are still debating whether to call it a genocide or not. It has been almost one way, except for the first day when Hamas kidnapped about 250 Israelis. It has almost been a one-way attack with Palestinians suffering most of the casualties and damages. The Gaza is almost destroyed now. I don't think any home is left untouched. They have been destroyed. People are living in relief camps. Even the relief camps are being attacked. Children's hospitals have been attacked. So the United Nations agency, which helps the Palestinian people, has been prevented by Israel from operating. Israel has blocked all food and essential items going into Gaza. It's almost strangulating the population of Gaza, and this crime is being tolerated by most of the nations of the world, except for a few like South Africa and Iran. And it has almost come to a point where unless the countries of the world unitedly take a decision to boycott Israel, like they did South Africa once for the apartheid policy being followed there, and they imposed sanctions on South Africa. It was only after a prolonged campaign of sanctions and boycott that South Africa relented and the apartheid regime was ended. In a similar manner, it requires the countries of the world to come together and to boycott Israel, to impose sanctions on it, so that it can be forced to end its atrocities on the people of Palestine and the neighboring countries. We are only hoping that the countries in the United Nations will show guts and will take this stand. India's stand has been ambiguous. There was a time when India boycotted Israel because when Israel was created by the UN resolution, Gandhi said famously that Palestine belongs to Palestinians as much England belongs to the English and the France belongs to the French. And then Jawaharlal Nehru's government took a pro-Palestinian position. He himself visited various refugee camps around Palestine in Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and India had been consistently supporting Palestine in the struggle against Israel. But unfortunately, since the new economic policies of privatization, globalization and liberalization were implemented during Narasimha Rao regime, we also decided to recognize Israel as a nation, and they finally had their embassy in New Delhi. Since then, and especially during the tenure of BJP governments, India has moved very close to Israel. We are their largest purchaser of arms. We bought the controversial Pegasus software from them, and we are collaborating in military exercises. So India can't take a clear stand against Israel now in the United Nations, but the saving grace is that in some of the resolutions, India has voted in favor of Palestine. Modi, when he goes to international meetings, obviously he has occasions to meet Netanyahu, but he also makes sure that he meets Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority. I don't think he will ever meet the leaders of Hamas. Hamas and Hezbollah are described as terrorist organizations by the United States and Israel. But this is quite strange, because Hamas has won election in 2006 and it should have formed the government in entire Palestine because it had the majority, but the US and Israel did not permit it to form a government in West Bank, and therefore it just had a government in Gaza. And Hezbollah also has contests elections, and they provide security to Lebanon. So, Lebanon's military is too weak. So, Lebanon depends on its security, depends on Hezbollah for its security, and Hezbollah has also been contesting election in Lebanon. So, both these organizations who contest elections, which are part, one of them runs the government, one of them, the other is in Lebanon, is part of the parliamentary proceedings. So it is strange that these organizations are called terrorist organizations. No terrorist organization contests elections. If you look at the history of other terrorist organizations, from the various ones which are listed by the Indian government whenever there is a terrorist attack in India, or the LTTE or Al-Qaeda, you will never find any terrorist organization contesting elections, whereas Hamas and Hezbollah, which by the way have not been yet included in the list of terrorist organizations by India, are described as terrorist organizations, and people believe it. So this propaganda has to be countered. It has to be made very clear that they are organizations which contest elections and form governments or at least participate in the parliamentary proceedings. And Palestinians have equal right to that of Jews to exist. In fact, they have more of a right because they have been living there, for generations and centuries. And until the decision was taken by England in 1917 in the form of Balfour Declaration to create Israel in this area of Jerusalem, whereas there were two other proposals for creation of Israel in two different areas of the world, in Africa and South America. it would probably have been better to create Israel in these regions. It would not at least have created the controversy it did after creation of Israel. Palestinians have a right to exist as a nation. The 1947 resolution of United States, just like India and Pakistan were created in 47, the UN resolution created two nations. Israel came into existence, but Palestine never came into existence. Even though a lot of countries in the world, including India, recognize Palestine as a country. So the least that the United Nations can do, and it must do it, because Israel has been humiliating the Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the United Nations. It has banned Antonio Guterres from entering Palestine. So the least that the United Nations can do is to recognize Palestine as a full member state with voting rights, and if it has the courage, it should repeal the membership of Israel. The Socialist Party of India took out a scooter motorcycle rally on 29th of November, which was the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, in Lucknow. From our party office in Chowk to the UNICEF, which is the only UN office in Lucknow, in Gomti, Nagar, and we handed a memorandum addressed to Antonio Guterres that the United Nations must repeal the membership of Israel from UN. It is only such pressure from the countries around the world which can force Israel to stop committing this genocide over the population of Gaza. And we hope that the world will come around and take such a stand and put pressure on Israel to end the suffering of the people of Palestine. Thank you.